Have you ever wondered why it takes so long for certain government projects to be completed? That's either state government or local government. Well, I've wondered that too. And one that's really perplexed me over the last year or two is how long it's taken to construct the Broughton Street Cycleway. This is a 400 metre long cycleway and it's ground on for over 4 years and ended up costing, well, it was budgeted for $1.7 million. And I've ridden up and down it a couple of dozen times. And for the life of me, I can't figure out where all the money went unless they spent $1 million on signalling and $500,000 on project management, because there's not that much concrete or asphalt in this project. But look, enough of complaining about that. We're not here to talk about budget. We're here to talk about time. So apologies for this horribly complicated little timeline. I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm trying to set out what the major milestones were in this project. And we go back to November 2016 and the state government Parramatta Road Upgrade Amenities Improvement Program, I'm not entirely sure of the acronym, came out with a report, and in the report said they wanted to build a cycleway between Burwood and Canada Bay, or Queen Elizabeth Park. So part of that would be built by Burwood Council on their side of Parramatta Road, and the other part would be built by Canada Bay Council. Okay, all good. They said they want to do that. What happened in 2017? Well, I've been through all the minutes and agendas for the Canada Bay Council meetings for that year, 21 of them. God, what a bore. And I couldn't find a single mention of it there anywhere. And then similarly in 2018, there were 12 council meetings and it only got mentioned once. But it did get mentioned in somewhere in January 2018 that $75,000 in funding had actually been approved and had come through to council for preliminary planning or first stage planning or whatever you want to call it. And it was also noted in the minutes of the meeting of the 15th of May. So somehow between the money coming or getting approved in January, nothing really seemed to happen up until the 15th of May, when council seemed to wake up and find that they've got this money sitting in their bank account and they should do something with it. The annual report for 2017-2018 then came out, covering the period up until the 30th of June, came out a couple of months later, I think in August, and it noted that the cycleway was in the planning phase. So there we are in kind of mid to late 2018 and they're in planning. Given, this is almost, 2 years since it was first floated by the state government. Then community consultation started in December 2018. Right, so funding approved in January, and it takes until December before they start letterboxing residents with some conceptual plans. Now, obviously in that time, someone had to go out and draw up the diagrams and do the site visits, and they had to probably bring in a consultant to do that, and they probably had to go to tender in order to get the consultant to come in and draw up the diagrams, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's where the money would have gone for that, paying surveyors and, to go out and survey the street, and engineers or whoever it is, they get to draw up these diagrams and make sure they meet all the RMS standards and all that other kind of stuff. Okay, all good. Goes to community consultation, and a bit of a hoo-ha erupts because firstly there were some people that were very upset that some fig trees in one of the parks were going to be ripped out. So, had to go back to the drawing board to work out what to do about that. And the second thing is there were some people very upset that a dozen on-street parking spots were going to be removed. Even though all the houses along there are big blocks and they've all got heaps of off-street parking and you could park several cars and a boat in every single property, for some reason on-street parking is a hot button issue along there. Okay, so council decided to go and throw out the designs that the consultant had come up with, which met international best practice as far as safety is concerned and all the rest of it, and that is having unidirectional paths on either side of the road. So bin that because of trees and parking. Then it came back to the Council Traffic Committee on the 21st of March the next year in 2019 with some amended plans for a bidirectional cycleway. So that means the cycleway is just on one side of the road and you've got cyclists going both ways on the cycleway. And researchers found that that's about half as safe as a unidirectional cycleway for various reasons that I won't go into, otherwise we'll be here all day. But full council met and approved that recommendation on the 9th of April. Now, the next mention we hear of this is in the annual report, which comes out about, 4 months later, which said that works will commence in the second half of 2019. And then the July to December 2019 council report on progress comes out in early 2020. And that says that detailed design is almost complete and works will commence in mid-2020. So, yeah, council approves it on the 21st of March. Presumably by that stage, the state government had come through with funding. And so, council didn't have to worry about where the money was coming from. But, in 9 months later, still haven't got the detailed designs done. So you have to wonder, what the heck happened then? How can it take 9 or 10 months or so to draw up detailed designs for this proposal? What the hell was going on? Were they having trouble engaging an engineer to come in and do it? Was it a particularly complex set of works? Did they in fact end up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the budget simply on the design process and, trying to get the thing approved by every man and his dog? I don't know, but like I said, the money's gone somewhere. Maybe that's it. Then we grind on into 2020, and of course we had all the hoo-ha last year with a disease I will not name. But they finally got around to awarding a tender on the 16th of June 2020. Who knows when the tender was actually, when it actually went to tender, but quite incredible that we're now 15 months after when council approved the thing to go ahead, and they've finally gone to tender. It's like, what? Geez, what happened in that 15-month period? The next thing we hear about it is the annual report comes out after sometime in July or August of 2020, and it says that construction is scheduled for the second half of 2020, and amazingly said the total cost is going to be $5 million. Yeah, I think someone got their projects mixed up when they came out with that. Anyway, that was the good news. Now, some Baybug members actually met up with 2 councillors and had a look at the site on the 1st of August. So this is a month and a half after the tender had been awarded. No visible work had been undertaken by that stage. And we had a look at, the road crossings to see how safety could be improved on Broughton Street and Park Avenue, etc. But, it was all too late. I mean, the tender had been awarded by that stage, but some good consultation was had. And then construction actually started either late August or early September. Not sure when, but the first we saw of it was, I think, on about the 3rd or 4th of September. Went and had a look, and they'd actually blocked off a lot of the street and work had started. Now, this is the amazing thing. Construction went ahead really quickly, and by November, the path was actually rideable end to end. Now, there was no signage. The RMS hadn't changed the traffic signals over to put a bike lantern on at Gipp Street, and the anti-slip paint stuff wasn't down, and the pedestrian path wasn't finished, and blah, 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 blah. But essentially, you could ride it from Queen Elizabeth Park or Gipp Street all the way up to Parramatta Road quite safely. So no flies on the construction guys. Once they started laying concrete, they ripped through it, and I got to say, the quality of the concreting they did was first class, with things like the curb ramps, etc. Best I've ridden across in a very long time. Kudos to the contractors, but pity it took so long to get them to the point where they could actually start pouring concrete. Then one of the big parts was getting the RMS or their subcontractors. They use Tyco Lend-Lease to do a lot of their work, to go to the Gipp Street intersection and move and change out a lot of the poles and the traffic signals, blah, 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 and put in some combined pedestrian bike signals to make it legal to cross the road there on your bike. A lot of people might not be aware that if if there's a green pedestrian signal and you ride across, the police can fine you $450 for failing to obey a traffic signal, even though it's green. Yes, I know it's madness, but that's why a lot of money has to be spent swapping out those signals or paying contractors to go up a ladder and take a lens off that's just got a pedestrian symbol on it and put a pedestrian and bicycle symbol on it. And it may surprise you to know that I think it costs about $5,000 per signal to do that, once you factor in all the change control you've got to go through, the getting the subby to go out there and do it, setting up a safe work site, for working at heights. You've got to have a couple of people out there. You've got to set up cones and blah blah blah. It's amazing that a lens, which probably costs $5, costs $5,000 to replace. So at that point, it was pretty much safe and legal to ride end to end. And look, at no point once construction reached practical completion was the path blocked off so you couldn't ride it, which was really good. It provided a safe alternative to riding on Broughton Street, which is an absolute shocker and is why this path is required. And we finally grind on to almost the very end of April, and we had the Mayor of Burwood and the Mayor of Canada Bay turn up, and I don't know if they cut a ribbon or something, but they certainly had a photo opportunity, and the whole thing was declared open. So we go from November 2016, when this was first floated by the state government, to April 2021, where we have an officially opened path. So hopefully that gives you some idea of why, firstly, the whole pop-up cycleway thing, if you're interested in cycling, the whole pop-up cycling thing has been so good because they managed to roll these things out extremely rapidly by comparison to this permanent construction. And if you're a resident wondering why it takes forever to get a pedestrian crossing installed, or some lines painted on the road, some rubbish bins installed, or new traffic islands installed to provide a safe crossing outside of school or something like that, hopefully what you've just seen here will give you some idea of the sausage machine that's required to churn out the sausages. It's incredibly slow, and things have to go to committees and be approved. And if you've ever sat on committees, you'd know that committees are a place where good ideas go to die. And community-minded people are sent to suffer and lose all their illusions about how efficient government is. So anyway, that's a wrap up. The interesting thing from the cycling community's perspective is how long it's going to take to build the East West Regional Cycleway from Concord to the Bay Run. Certainly looking forward to getting that built. It's going to include some great things like a new pedestrian and cycle path around Hen and Chicken Bay, which has the potential to turn Hen and Chicken Bay into a second Bay Run, which I think is a winner-winner chicken dinner for all concerned. And that's just going to be one component. Anyway, if you like this content, please subscribe to Baybug. Baybug does does organise some regular weekly group rides. If you're interested in coming on a group ride with us, they're free. You don't have to live in Canada Bay to join Baybug, and the details are on our website. Hope to see you out there. Come along for a coffee, catch up, and get to explore Sydney as we go. That's it. Talk to you later.